Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barak ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa ummatihi ajma'in. So broadly speaking, welcome to all of you who are existing students, continuing students, past students, and to new people who are considering joining Kufah Institute for our different curricular offerings. The first offering, which alhamdulillah, as many of you know, we completed this year, is known as the Diploma of Islamic Studies, and that is offered as a 1-year full-time class or a 2-year half-time course. And the two options in the 2-year half-time course is you can either take it in the mornings and the weekdays, and I'll show you a schedule for that in a moment, or you can take it in the evenings and Saturdays. But before we go to the schedule, what really is the Diploma of Islamic Studies? So the Diploma of Islamic Studies is designed for somebody who is approximately 18 years old, has finished high school, and now sort of wants to study the Deen of Islam.
Sorry, Monica Mall. I think did you share are you sharing anything currently?
Yes. You
Oh, I
can't see
think
it?
I think it's showing. It just says you started screen sharing, but it's not showing the exact thing.
It's showing some other screen.
It's not showing anything actually. If you maybe you can unshare and reshare, that should work.
Sorry, everybody. I don't know how that happened. Let's try again.
It's giving the same thing that you stopped. There you go. Perfect. Okay, now we see the Diploma Islamic Studies 1 year full-time
Yes.
streams.
Okay. So the Diploma of Islamic Studies is essentially designed to launch a student 18 years or older, and it should be clear it's not really specifically designed just for an 18-year-old. In this past year, we had people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, at different ages and stages of their life, or their education, or their career, or their profession. But what they wanted, and many of them, mashallah, had even studied and read different books on Islam and had interacted with different durus and knowledge circles. But what they wanted was a coherent, systematic, structured introduction and foundation to Islamic learning. And that's what we've designed in this first year course called the Diploma of Islamic Studies. That if somebody can take 1 year full time, and that may be after high school, before college, that may be during college, that might be after college, that might be at any later stage in their life. But if somebody said that, look, I cannot take out 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years to study to be a full Islamic scholar, Sharia scholar, but I do think that I've taken out time for many things in my life, and I would like to take out 1 year to study the Deen intensely and make that the real main focus of my life for that 1 year. But I have not really had a chance to do any advanced Islamic study earlier, so that is what this course is designed as. Keeping in mind that not everybody can take out 1 year dedicated full-time study, we have the option of doing it over 2 years half-time. And the way we structure that, there's two ways to do that. One is to do that in the weekdays in the mornings, specifically Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, approximately 9 a.m. to 12 noon, or to do it with 2 evenings and a Saturday, approximately Tuesday, Thursday evenings, and Saturday around 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. But what is that curriculum that has been designed for this person who wants to get this foundational study of the Deen? The first, obviously and foremost, is to begin our study of Quran al-Kareem, and this is the tafsir of the 30th juz of the Quran. All of the surahs in the 30th juz of the Quran. One reason is because often people have memorized these surahs and have a deeper connection to them, and obviously also recite them in their salah. Another reason is that many of these surahs come from the Makki period, which is the early part of the seerah where Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was building a new spiritual community, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was actually introducing through Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, through Kalamullah, Wahy revelation, the foundational teachings of Deen, especially Tawheed and Akhirah. And the honest truth is that the overwhelming majority of us still are very much in need of these foundational teachings. We're caught up in the dunya. We sometimes find ourselves living our life or having worries and concerns as if we've forgotten that there is one all-majestic, almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second is obviously to look at the hadith and the teachings of the sunnah of Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And one of the great scholars of our ummah, Imam an-Nawawi rahimahullah, he made a compilation precisely for this purpose so that the ordinary believer could get a deep understanding of some of the core teachings of the hadith, especially as they pertain to our spiritual development, our certainty, our yaqeen, our interpersonal relations, our akhlaq, our good manners and virtuous behavior. And that compilation was known as Riyadh al-Salihin. And then a later scholar slightly abbreviated that, maybe took out, you can say, some repeated hadith, whether the words were repeated or the content was repetitious. And alhamdulillah, that has also been translated into English, and that would be the text that we would study for hadith. The third topic is seerah, and this is really for a person to, and I should maybe use this as an example to explain that, you see the word seerah. This could be taught to third graders. This could be taught to 10th graders. This could be, a person might do a PhD on the topic of the seerah. So as we know, the seerah is extremely vast. This is, alhamdulillah, sort of a deep chronological biographical study of Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's life, mission, and example, but in a way that goes beyond just history, but tries to bring it alive for us to connect and for us to follow, fall in love, and then follow Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this is maybe another good place I would introduce something that's across all the courses. These courses aren't just about the topic or the curriculum or the readings that are assigned, but for each of the courses you would have a very capable scholar with expertise who is trying to study many, many aspects of that topic and distill all of that for you in a lecture. So all of us love the seerah, but how many of us have time to read multiple collections of seerah or to study different books on the seerah? But how wonderful it would be if we could have an ustad, an instructor who has done that for us and brings all of that together for us in a presentation. The fourth class is called Schematic Overview of the Quran, and this is a course where we actually go through the entire Quran al-Karim, but not word by word or verse by verse, but going through the major sections and topics and themes in each surah, right from Surah Al-Fatiha all the way to the end, Surah An-Nas. And this gives a person a core Quranic fluency and awareness of the different topics and themes and which surahs they come in, and you will also get a sense of which of the topics and themes are repeated and how many times and across different places of Quran al-Karim. And this will be a very good foundation for the next phase of study that we show in a moment. The next class is Tajweed, and this is a fundamental science that all of us can continually improve in, our ability to recite the Quran al-Karim properly. The next course is called Quranic Arabic 1, and Quranic Arabic is giving a introductory awareness of the vocabulary Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has used in Kalamullah, of some of the sentence structure, some of the grammar, and really, mashallah, by the end of the first year, students should be able to begin to be able to understand large portions of Quran al-Karim, whether they're reciting it or they're listening to his recitation. The next topic is fiqh of worship and the fiqh of halal and haram. These are basically what you would say is a fard ain, that knowledge that is incumbent and obligatory in each and every individual one of us, whether it's about purification, praying salah, fasting, the rules of Hajj and Umrah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take all of us there ever and ever again. And also some notion of what is this notion of halal and haram, right? That our obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is an act of love, but it's also an act of submission. And to get a deeper look of this notion that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that being who has a right to govern our lives and our behavior and our actions, and that we should indeed submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's commandments. The next topic is Aqidah, and here it's really not about formal schools of kalam. It's really about the core tenets of belief, to really understand deeper Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His hiddenness, His attributes, His actions, the concept of Nabuwa, prophethood, prophecy, the life after, Mabda wa Ma'ad, and major key topics that come in this discussion of faith and certainty. The next class is called Journey Through the Ihya, and that is actually where we take another seminal text, which many of you would have heard about, the Ihya Ulumuddin by Imam al-Ghazali rahimahullah, which is in 40 different books. And in that, Imam al-Ghazali has tried to capture essential teachings needed really for the guidance of a believer to be a true, virtuous, upright, yani from the Salihin and Muttaqeen Mu'minin. And here again, rather than maybe do a word by word or line by line reading, you would have an instructor who has distilled this content and presents it to you, but also makes it come alive. Come alive in terms of the contemporary challenges that you and I face living in the 21st century with the different fitnas and challenges both in our individual lives but even as a collective ummah. And the last class is called Foundations of the Islamic Tradition, and this is starting to look at some of early Islamic thought and intellectual history from the classical period, but then also navigating different challenges presented by modernity or even by modernist and reformist Muslim thought. So there's modules in here about faith and also again about the Quran, the Sunnah, Islamic law, Islamic spirituality, and some contemporary topics related to Islam and gender and Islam and just war. So this is an introduction to the curriculum, and just to get a little glimpse of how this is done, I will show you in the next slide. So this is the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday classes, and these are the morning classes. These are the Tuesday, Thursday evening, and Saturday classes. So if somebody were to take everything that you see on this slide, that would be what I mentioned as taking this quote-unquote full-time or completing the diploma in 1 year. The other option is a person could take it half-time, which means they would complete it over 2 years. And as I said, there were 2 tracks for that. One is to take it in the weekday mornings, and then you would take it in this academic year, 26-27, and then again next year you would take, we would offer the courses that aren't offered here, so you would be able to complete the diploma in 2 years. Similarly, when you join in the evening and weekend track, you would take the classes that you see here, and the following year you would take the classes that I'm circling here. And the third option is obviously to take it self-paced, right? That some of you might just want to take 1 class, 2 classes. Some of you might be able to take more classes, some years, less classes in future years. So this is the Diploma in Islamic Studies. The next, and I just show this to you, but this is a longer curriculum. The next course that we offer is called the Advanced Islamic Studies, which we call the AIS. The AIS is a 3-year full-time program, and just like the diploma, it's also designed to be done half-time, and that would take 6 years. So here, before I'm showing you the schedule, but let me first comment on what this curriculum is, and let me start with the word advanced. So it is advanced relative to our DIS. It is advanced also in the sense that, let's say somebody says, okay, great, I took 1 year out. I can't take 6, 7, 8 years to become a full alim, alima, sharia scholar. But what's the most I could do? What's really the maximal amount of knowledge I need for my guidance to save myself and my family from fitnas, but also to be a productive member in my community, in my family, maybe in my circle of friends, maybe in my MSA at the university, or maybe with my colleagues in my professional workplace, or even indeed to be able to do some level of dawah to non-Muslims. So what's that level of knowledge that I need? This is the more robust type of knowledge, and this is why we call it quote-unquote advanced, but we've also designed a program that if you think about it, if it's 3 years full-time, an undergrad, a college undergrad degree, especially if people have AP credit and whatnot, it can also be 3 years full-time. So just think that this is this amount of knowledge that would normally be an entire college undergraduate curriculum. And that is fairly advanced. That is more than our 1 year class. That is more than taking different short courses. It's sort of the next best thing that a person could do without spending 6, 7, 8 years to become an Islamic scholar. So the first thing in this advanced Islamic studies curriculum is the tafsir of the entire Quran. And this will be done over 3 years, 10 juz each year. And in each year, and that's, I'll now show you these pieces on the slide, in each year there'll be 5 juz taught in the evening and Saturday track, and 5 juz taught in the morning track. So if somebody does it over 6 years, they would do 5 juz each year. But this is the fundamental core element of the advanced Islamic studies, is the tafsir of the entire Quran al-Karim. The second thing is a study of all of the hadith in 2 collections. One is the Sahih of Imam Muslim, which needs no introduction, and the second is a collection known as Mishkatul Masabih. So Mishkatul Masabih is a collection again made by a classical scholar, but we could say post-classical period. And the purpose of that collection was sort of one level above Riyadh al-Salihin. The notion, again, that if somebody cannot study all of the quote-unquote 6 books or become a deep scholar of hadith, what is the amount of hadith that they need to understand to really say, I've understood deen? Maybe let me phrase this another way, and it's a bit of a bold phrasing. What is that understanding of hadith that I need, that I could legitimately stop at? That I could say, okay, I've actually understood the teachings of my beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, such that I can live and abide them in my life and help and guide others to do so. Because if the answer to that is that you have to be an outright muhaddith, then there are very, very few people in the ummah who can attain that knowledge. But as we know, Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a nabi for everyone, not just for the ulama or mufassirun or muhaddithun. So what is that amount of hadith? So, there can be different people have had different views about this historically, and I'm sure today as well. But we felt at Kufah that one way to understand this, and one answer to this question, would be if somebody studies the entirety of one of the 2 Sahih collections. So in this case at Kufah, we have picked Sahih Muslim. And also, because, there are many ahadith that are actually not in those collections, also some collection which has additional ahadith, and that is the Mishkatul Masabih. Between these 2 collections combined, a person would really study every single, at least some hadith on every single topic. And I know it's a bold claim. Some hadith on every single topic that Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught. This is also going to be stretched out over 3 years, because it's not just about reading the translation of the hadith, but it's commentary on the hadith. So just like we have tafsir of Quran al-Karim, we have something called Sharh al-Hadith, which you can say in English is like commentary of the hadith. All right. The next major thing is to continue the journey in Arabic. So there would be 3 years additional of Arabic. The first of those would be Quranic Arabic 2, and the next 2, we call them Classical Arabic 1 and Classical Arabic 2. Without going into the details of that curriculum, I want to now focus on what are the goals and outcomes of now these different streams that I will share with you. The goal and outcome of that Arabic curriculum is that the AIS graduate would now be able to comfortably read the entire Quran and understand the entire Quran, whether they're reciting it or listening it in recitation. They would actually be able to read these hadith and be able to understand 80 to 90% of the hadith. So the core texts of Islam, to have enough Arabic that one can understand that. All right. The next major topic in the Advanced Islamic Studies curriculum is what we call Islamic Intellectual History. So here we have designed a number of courses spanning 3 years on early Islamic intellectual history, looking at the origins of development of the major disciplines of tafsir, hadith scholarship, Islamic law and legal theory, also even the development of Islamic spirituality, and then also looking at the last 300 years of what we're going to call modern Islamic intellectual history, how Islamic knowledge was challenged under the era of colonialism, and even after independence has been challenged by modernism, secularism, liberalism globally, but also in the Muslim world. So this, you can say, is sort of the Islamic intellectual history component of the advanced Islamic studies. Within that, I will show you the courses that are offered specifically in the first year. So they begin here with Ulum al-Quran. Because I do want you to focus on what's being offered to you in the coming academic year for your own registration purposes. So Ulum al-Quran is a course that's going to look at the preservation, the historical preservation and transmission of Quran al-Kareem, and the different disciplines of learning and ways of analysis that the ulama made to understand the history, preservation, authenticity, and authority of the Quranic text. The second course in this year, in the first year of the AIS, and also in this coming academic year, 26-27, would be the authority and preservation of Sunnah. And it's the same understanding. It's looking at the history of hadith from the time of Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to the major textual compilations that you and me are aware of, such as Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, Sunan Abi Dawud, Sunan of Tirmidhi, Jami of Tirmidhi, etc. And again, looking at how were these hadith transmitted, how were they compiled, how were they textualized, etc. Then another component of the advanced Islamic studies is to continue another type of history, which is generational history. So we had Sirah in the Diploma of Islamic Studies. We have here, if you will see, a class called Sirah Studies in the advanced Islamic studies. Now that is not looking at Sirah by chronologically. It's rather looking at the Sirah thematically. How was Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as a friend? How was he as a mentor and guide? How was he as a leader or strategist? How was he as a community builder? Things, tools that we actually need beyond our individual salvation. One of the goals, as I mentioned, of the AIS is to enable a person to be a person of dawah, whether in their family and their friends, or their workplace, or even broadly in society. And so to understand Sayyidina Rasulullah's different aspects in his role as a Nabi. The next class in that generational history, which is also going to be taught in the first year, is about the Sahaba. So the first aspect of this is what exactly is the notion of Sahaba in our deen, because they have a special status. Obviously, not anywhere equivalent to the Prophets, but greater than every other member of the Ummah. And after understanding that, we would look at the first two Sahaba, first two Khulafa Rashidun, Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Alright. Going back to the intellectual history part, so this was the two examples of generational history. These were the two core things in intellectual history. The last thing I will show you, and then we'll pause here because we have, the focus should be on the first year curriculum and the courses that are actually going to be offered to you this coming year. We have 3 more courses to explain. Number 1 is History of Islamic Scholarship. That is the notion that, look, since we're studying knowledge, and we all know that we need knowledge to be rightly guided, what was the concept of ilm in the earliest periods of Islam? And after Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam passed away, obviously Wahy and Nubuwah end, and we have the Quran and Sunnah. How did the early Muslim community, from the Sahaba, the Salaf, the Tabi'in, Tabai Tabi'in, understand ilm? How did they share ilm? How did they transmit ilm? How did they teach ilm? Then how did ilm in the classical period of the first 3 centuries of Hijri, how did ilm then develop along these disciplinary lines that you and me so comfortably talk about, tafsir, hadith, fiqh, tazkiyah, etc.? So this course is looking at that, and sort of comes up to, but then ends at the foundation of the Nizamiya Madrasa in Baghdad. And because in the 3 years of the AIS we're going to be looking deeply in tafsir, and there would have been, we're looking at Ulum al-Quran. So another very important class to have early on is Usul al-Tafsir, And that's basically looking at different ways, fancy terms for this are hermeneutics, methodologies, interpretive techniques of understanding the Quran Kareem. What role does language and linguistics play in it? What role does tafsir al-Quran bil-Quran, sort of a thematic tafsir, play in it? What are the literary rhetorical devices that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has used in Kalamullah, and how do we as readers understand that? Why are different topics, so it gets a bit into the discussion as to why are different topics mentioned across surahs, why were certain aspects of a story revealed in the Meccan period, why were certain aspects of the story revealed after the Hijrah or in the Medinan period, and really what are acceptable and also equally important, what are unacceptable ways of doing tafsir. And then the last class that's being offered this year is a class on Imam al-Ghazali, rahimahullah, which is looking at his life and his legacy and the model in which he made major interventions in kalam, you can say sort of in Islamic theology, in falsafa, or in determining what type of philosophy is acceptable in Islam and what is not, in spirituality, but also really just in every major discipline of Islamic learning, and how he dealt with Ibn Sina, well, not Ibn Sina personally, but Avicennism, Ibn Sina's thought as a model for us. How do we deal with, let's say, secular, liberal thought or any knowledge framework that comes outside of Islam? So these are, because we had limited time today, but alhamdulillah, I think I did it in 25 minutes. But we really want to focus on what is being offered in this coming year, and we welcome your questions on that in the first instance. And then we also welcome your questions more broadly on just the Diploma of Islamic Studies, the DIS, or Advanced Islamic Studies, AIS, in a broader way.
Jazakallah khair, Monacamal. Any questions for Monacamal or the team before we go into going into the actual registration form itself? Okay, okay. Anything else, Monacamal, from you?
No, I was just looking at the questions in the chat, but I think they've been answered in the chat.
We have a couple of people keeping an eye out there.
Okay.
And then Jeffrey, by at the end, will if there's any general questions that continue to come up, he will mention them to you to answer that way, inshallah. Okay, so I will share my screen. Okay, so Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Peter, this is Nabila, and I'm on somebody else's phone because my phone is not connecting here, so that's why. So my question is, in the DIS 2, there is no Islamic studies. Oh, sorry, no Arabic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so Malcolm, do you want to answer that or would you like me to?
Assalamu alaikum. What did you mean by DIS 2?
I think she means the people who are in the evenings for DIS.
Yeah, yeah,
The
yes.
they see the Sira Arabic pathway that we have for them. That the people who had done the evening track this year, they've already taken Sira, so they'll do Arabic during that time. I think that was the
Yeah.
Yeah, so for this particular batch, there will be Arabic. It's not showing on the website, but it was there on the PowerPoint I had, if I'm not mistaken. They will be doing Arabic, but on Saturday, not in the evening.
Okay, that's fine, inshallah.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be evening, 2 evenings and one Saturday,
Exactly.
as last year. So it's going to
Yes.
be same, but with the other 5 which we did not take last year, inshallah.
yes,
Jazakumullah khair.
exactly that way. The only difference would be that instead of this Sira Nabuwa class, you guys will take the Arabic class, because you've already taken it.
Jazakumullah khair.
Okay, I'll let people answer the questions that are coming uh, in there in the chat. Let people answer there, inshallah. So the goal purpose of this part of the conversation is just to walk you through the registration form. This can be a little confusing. I know a lot of people have reached out and they're trying to figure out how to best do this. So the goal of inshallah is just to walk you through the initial information above here is just some specific information related to what type of student you want to be. Are you going to be a full-time student, a half-time student, which means you've taken one track and now you want to take the other track, or do you want to just take individual courses? All of these are possible. Now, if you've noticed that we've had a little bit of a change this year, that if you take an individual course, we're limiting that right now to a maximum of two, except for exceptions. If you'd like to sign up for more than two and you have a specific reason, reach out to us. We want to talk to you about seeing if we can help provide any academic advising, seeing what may be what may be holding you back from committing to a full track versus just taking two courses, and maybe we can help facilitate something for you there. Um, so just definitely reach out if you want to sign up as hey, I'm just taking a few courses at a time, but I'd like to take more than two. Do reach out to us and we'd love to talk to you about it. To earn a credit, well, this is now going to be a little bit more stringent coming into this upcoming year. This is the highly preferred option, which is on site, and we're going to require a minimum of 70% in-person attendance to get credit as an on-site student. The hybrid student, you're going to be minimum is about 40% in-person attendance and 30% live online. Generally, if you live in the Tampa area or nearby, we really prefer you to be on site. There's just something different about being an on-site student, being there in person, get to interact with the teachers, your fellow students. I would say many, many more people have been committed and able to finish the entire curricula for the past year. Those were on site. Almost there was only one person who was very committed who was live online, and even fewer who are hybrid, or almost nobody that was fully hybrid. But if you really want to benefit tremendously from the program, we highly, highly recommend that inshallah you come in person. So the other thing is just to know, so the other one is live online. We do allow for this, the minimum 70% live online attendance for the DIS program. For the AIS program, this currently does not exist. So this page right now is strictly related to the first year DIS program. For the Advanced Islamic Studies, which is kufa.org/applyAIS, as you'll see, it says live online attendance is not available for AIS students. This is because the program requires close reading of texts, a lot of more relationship building with the teachers. It's more one-on-one, more attention. There's a lot of spiritual development that's involved in it. And we really, really need people to be at least hybrid, if not on site as much as possible. So if that's a concern or a question, reach out to us and see what we can do to help. So then next step is just tuition. The tuition is here. You can read it. You can see how it best fits you and your ability to pay. Financial aid is available based on our trust. We don't do any checks or financial checks to see if you're able to pay or not to pay. We keep it up to you. If you're unable to pay, just check it on the registration form, inshallah, and we'll reach out to you when the time comes. When you sign up for the registration form, it's a $25 registration fee. We're not collecting tuition right now. We're going to collect it when we first start everything. So here on the side, you'll see the exact schedule that Monica Mall went through in detail to see what classes you may be interested in. And here is the full registration form, the information that we need from you to register you for the classes. So your name, your date of birth, your email. Now, what's going to happen is we do have some classes, as Monica Mall showed, that, for example, if you take the selected surahs, we have a male teacher and a female teacher. So this class is split. There's a male group of the men and women will be split with different teachers, but then there's other classes, for example, Foundations of the Islamic Tradition, that's joint. So when you select your gender, you'll notice that a lot of these other classes are crossed off. So there's no way that you're going to sign up for a women's course. That's only a women's course. So if you're a male, you're gonna pick your gender as a male, and you won't be able to do that. If you're a female, you'll put your gender as that, and you won't be able to sign up for only all the courses that are men only. But as you can see, all the joint courses like Journey Through the Ihya, Foundations of Islamic Tradition, those are left open. So then your phone number, your address, and emergency contact. And now this becomes important for you to let us know how are you going to attend the class? Are you attending in person? Are you live online? Are you hybrid? What is your enrollment? How do you want to come to class? So this helps us plan for space. Then we need to know your enrollment type. Are you crediting? Are you taking this for credit? Or are you doing this as an audit student? If you're a student who's taking it for credit, things are going to be different. We need more information from you, particularly when it comes to AIS. Did you graduate high school? Did you go to college? What were your grades like? Particularly when it comes to AIS, those things become very important. The other thing that becomes important is if you're a credit seeking student, then you're going to get access to the LMS. If you're an audit student, then you're not going to get access to the LMS. And you're going to get access to WhatsApp, you'll get access to recordings, which will be available. You'll have access to the readings that are posted on the WhatsApp, but you won't be added to the LMS to take quizzes, exams, things like that. Previously, we've allowed students to take exams and who are auditors, but it's getting very difficult to keep track of who's auditing and who's not. So moving forward, those who are auditing will be maybe initially added to the LMS just to keep you into the loop. But most people who are all the people who are auditing are going to be eventually removed and only added to the WhatsApp groups. Then you have the ability to select your programs, whether you want to be track B, track A, or full-time, or track A, and then the classes that are listed under there. Now, if you want to choose individual courses, say I don't want to sign up for a full track or full-time, I just want to sign up for individual classes. You'll click this button and it'll open up all the individual classes you can sign up for. As before, it won't stop you from signing up for more than two, but please do only sign up for two unless you have a exception that we've already discussed or you reach out to us and we have a conversation about it. So here you'll be able to sign up. And again, you can see that since I put male as my gender, I can only sign up for the joint and male courses. Now, if I was to change this and I put female, then as you can see, I can only sign up for the joint and female courses. So this should be a stopgap to make sure that you're signed up in the correct class. If you somehow don't get signed up in the right class and you get into the male, you were supposed to be in the female, or vice versa, do reach out to us as soon as possible. Um, this is also very important. Any scheduling conflicts, any accommodations you may have, maybe you have work at certain days and you can't make the classes. Maybe there's some specific accommodations you need in relation to supporting you. And that gives us an idea of what we can and can't support, and we can be very upfront and honest with you on what we can offer and what we can't offer. Some information about where you heard from us and just some disclaimer language that we are bounded to have you agree to make sure that you agree to receiving messages from Kufa. Now, the registration fee is $25. You might ask why that is. It's largely because previously we've had a lot of people sign up and then not necessarily be enrolled into the system, but just kind of be here and there. So this hopefully will ensure that we will um, get people who are serious about actually joining the institute. So this website is kufa.org/apply-dis, and somebody can drop it into the chat. And the other one is kufa.org/apply-AIS. So the AIS program, as Monica had mentioned, are people. There's some prerequisites in terms of just people who have finished the DIS curriculum, or that's specifically for full-time and half-time students. That you finished the DIS curriculum and you're going into AIS. But people who want to take individual courses, you're more than welcome to sign up for any of these courses that, except for potentially probably Arabic, unless you test out of that, or maybe there's a course, hey, I just take one or two courses at a time with Kufa, and this class sounds really interesting to me. Can I take this class? So that's what you're able to do that as well. And then the registration form is fairly similar. The only thing is if you sign up for a specific track, and are doing this for credit, then we do request you'll get an email to send us your transcripts and your SAT scores. You don't have to send like an official transcript with the SAT scores. You could just send us your exact score itself. But we do require that and any transcripts you may have and two letters of recommendation. And again, this is specifically if you're doing the full track or you're doing the full-time track. Basically, if you're doing track A, track B, or full-time, then we would like for you to submit two letters of recommendation from people you've studied with, whether you did a 1 year somewhere or something like that. If you're just doing individual classes, you don't need to do that. Okay, so that's the registration form. I'm gonna take a quick look at the chat to see if there's anything else. Okay, Jeffrey, but if there's any questions that you've noted, uh, would you mind just sharing it? If there's anything that has come up. Okay, alhamdulillah, most questions have been covered. That's all we have. Hopefully the registration form now makes sense, and it's easy for all of you all to register. Please reach out to support@kufa.org if you have any questions related to the registration. If you need one of us to help walk you through the registration, if you need academic advising, we have our scholars on the men's side and the women's side available and giving their time to help guide you through what classes to take and what would be best to take for you in your situation. We're happy to provide that advising, inshallah. Okay, yep. So, okay. So in terms of recordings, as of currently right now, the statement is right now is that they'll be available for 2 weeks. We do want to make sure that people are attending live and in person. Right as of right now, the limit is 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, the recordings will be taken down. There's certain people who applied before the $25 was reinstated. Don't worry, as long you should have gotten an email that you are logged into you've been added to the LMS. If you haven't, you'll be added shortly. We're transferring all the people over from the old registration form to the new one, and that'll be done fairly soon, inshallah. To take any AIS classes, a student must complete the DIS. That's not entirely correct. If you are just taking individual classes, then you are able to just take any classes you want up to two for the AIS curriculum. If you're trying to do it for credit, whether you take it as um, a track B, or full time, then you do have to complete the DIS or something equivalent to that, where you've studied those specific classes somewhere. Classes start August 13th. The academic calendar will be sent soon. Orientation is going to be August 13th, inshallah. Financial aid, you just let us know and indicate it that you just indicate on the form that you're going to need financial aid, and we'll take care of it from our end and reach out to you closer to when classes start, inshallah. What should we select if we don't know if you'll be in Tampa area or not? Just keep in touch with us. We can adjust that specific site at any time. Just put whatever you feel like is the most possible right now. And then inshallah, if you're able to move to Tampa, we can always adjust that. That's no problem, inshallah. Where do we purchase books/texts? We will try to have the books available and for sale when the classes start, inshallah. If you are not in person, we will let you know certain websites or places. Al-Balagh usually has the books that we offer, and then each teacher will try to provide that information to you, inshallah. Do we have to attend orientation in person if we're online and unable to go to Tampa? We will have the orientation being live streamed as well, inshallah. So you don't, if you're a live online person for DIS, or if you're a hybrid person, and you have to be online for that time, we will be live streaming the orientation, inshallah. It's good questions. Any more? Any more questions that anybody has? Okay, and the LMS will be mark track. I just saw that I missed that question. LMS will be mark track again, inshallah. And then in terms of attendance, we will be asking, there'll be a system in place that'll be in mark track. We'll ask all of the students to log their attendance and how they attended classes, inshallah. Okay. Any other questions? Is there a due date for registration? We are going to, inshallah, end registration towards the end of July. So the first week of August, I'll send the date out exactly soon. But end of July is we're hoping to close registration, because we need to plan for space as who is going to be here, who's not going to be here, and we need to get all that sorted. And it'll take us about 2 weeks to at least 2 weeks to get that planning done. So at the end of July, inshallah, we'll be closing registration. Any other questions? Okay, alhamdulillah. So I'm gonna just drop this in the chat. Sorry. So this is our email. If you have any questions, if you need any support of trying to figure out how to navigate the registration form, how am I going to sign up for classes, what classes should I sign up for that best fits my schedule. I'm either working this time, or I'm taking classes this time, or I'm at school during this time. What works, and what are the things that maybe I'm interested in? that would work best for me. We're happy to answer any and all of those questions, inshallah. We'll wait just a little couple more seconds for any additional questions. Anything from Sheikh Omar, Monica Mal, any from the sister side, anything you guys have that we may not have touched?
I'll just add, if you can hear me.
Ji.
So for all of you who, mashallah, logged in and clearly Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put in your heart that you wanted to learn something more about your deen, that is the biggest thing you should trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in. Alhamdulillah, Sheikh Ali and the whole team is here to support you in terms of registration, enrollment, financial aid, learning management system. But what might happen between now and the start of the fall semester is that, all of us, we have good intentions, but sometimes something comes up in our life, or we hesitate, or we second guess. And that's the thing I would say, whether it's with us or with any other institute or any other scholar, or whoever you're comfortable with. But mashallah, just by attending today, it's that you have a thirst for deen. And this is the most precious thing that you have. And this is the thing that you want to give life to. And you should make, and I make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all of us on our end of the team, but also for all of you who are potential students, inshallah, that may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala nurture this desire in our heart, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us in a way that we can best be one another's companions on this journey for seeking knowledge. And as much as, maybe now you're thinking about it, maybe in your mind the next steps is to, do a deep dive of the website or look at the application form clearly. And you should do all of that. But also now is the time when all of us should make dua, right? And you should make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya Allah, I just want you to increase me in the knowledge that is beneficial for me in understanding the entire Quran, the entire Sunnah, the entire Seerah, my whole tradition, in a way that I can best be your most loyal, loving, and obedient slave. That's the most precious thing, beyond any curriculum detail, beyond any registration process. And inshallah, mashallah, if you're true to that, then everything else will magically fall in place, inshallah.